Call our meeting back to order, and next up we are on Commission Committee Reports. Council, we're on Planning and Zoning.
Okay. Planning and Zoning met February 23rd in chambers. There was 2 items to be considered, and one was a consideration of plats, just a resolution, a preliminary subdivision plat of Bailey Estates, submitted on behalf of David Karpik and Kathleen Rice. And this was a preliminary description of a property, noting that the proposed lot line move will no longer provide for a larger lot on Lawton Drive. A preliminary plat met requirements of the borough subdivision design standards, and all conditions would be applied requiring further development of the property. It was approved unanimously, and this, of course, will be forwarded to the borough planning commission for further consideration. There was a resolution talking about a preliminary subdivision plat of Kenai Meadows Addition, submitted on behalf of the city of Kenai. And what it is, it's a summary of the property, noting the proposed plat will create 2 additional lots for development of senior and income restricted housing per a conditional use of donated land by the city. The preliminary plat met the requirements of the borough design standards, and conditions would be applied requiring further development of the property to conform to federal and state standards. There was a discussion related who would be responsible for future road development if the city, and could the city at this time designate a name for the future road, and then of course the financial responsibility for future development. And this was discussed, and the city of course will be able to name the road, and the responsibility for development of the road would lay with future development. And they had thought that the administration could look at the necessary steps to designate the road as 6th Street. The next meeting will be the 9th of March, and that lack of agenda items on for the 9th, so it's not going to go. Yeah, this was the meeting of the 23rd, and the 9th is canceled, right?
9th is canceled. The next meeting would be the 23rd.
Right. The next meeting would be the 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautification Committee?
Beautification Committee did not meet, so no report.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Glendinning, there we go.
Yeah, just I neglected to mention that there's a work session this Monday regarding the land use plan. 5 o'clock?
Yep, everybody should have got that today. Under Mini Grant Steering Committee, we did have a grant request that we met on Friday to consider. It was a request by Will Shervanek, who is the vice principal at Kenai Central High School, and he's working on funding for some permanent bathrooms and a snack bar over the football field. It'd be something that's similar to Soldan. In fact, it was. They're actually using that plan, that design plan that Soldotna had to save money for design services. There was an estimate of cost of that project about $300. I've heard as high as $500,000 possibly for that. The request was for just $500 for building supplies, so it didn't really meet the requirements or the conditions of what we have for the mini grant, which is for small, innovative type of ideas. However, we did suggest that when this project gets done, that if he comes back with something, maybe a specific item to the maybe the menu board or something along those lines, that might be more appropriate for this grant request than just a general segmented funding of the entire construction project, which he completely understood. And I also asked him, which should be on our next agenda, that I would sponsor, and I hope everybody on this body would sponsor a resolution supporting that project as he goes around. He has gotten permission to raise funds privately for this, from the school district. So we would, I've requested that we get information to draft a resolution. So as he does those fundraising efforts, let's say to the Rasmussen Foundation, there is the support of the community behind him. So that should be on the next agenda. And if no objection to, I'd prefer everybody sign it on the signer page if we're all up for that. That was all I had under mini grant steering. Under report of the mayor, I do have a few things here. I did on the 23rd, I did attend the job shadow reception, and this is an event that's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. Our student representative, Sadas, was there in full form, and it's a great event. What they do is they get kids juniors in high school to match up with business people and folks around the community to have them shadow them for the day to sort of get an idea of what that field of work might be. I think you'll probably talk about what you did there, and I'll leave it to you. But I was asked to be one of the guest speakers there. So as they were having their pizza and filtered back to sort of their mustering area there, I got to bend their ear for about 15 minutes and had a great time. I tell you what, I really enjoyed that group because after COVID, I mean, it was like these kids are kind of like, coming back and like they're getting that social vibe going again. It was a really neat group, and I enjoyed doing that. On the 24th, I did attend the Riverfront Revitalization Visioning session, which was put forth by McKinsey Group, which is doing our feasibility study, held at the Kenai Visitor Center. I thought it went very well. It was pretty well attended. A lot of good information. There was actually an exercise in progress, a process for them to get some ideas from the community, sort of what they'd like to see developed into that plan. Pretty fun day. I went to, as Ms. Ralston said, and I did the Love of Reading Monday. Again, really enjoyed doing that. I got the 4th and 5th graders this time. I think last time I had like the 1st and 2nd, which I don't think you want to read the 1st and 2nd grade books to the 4th and 5th graders. So it took me a minute because my grandkids are all 2nd and 3rd grade. And so when I went through all my reading material, all of it was sort of geared towards that. And I don't think that they were really interested in excerpts from my books but I did have the book that I'm reading now, which is Any Ocean, Any Tonnage, sort of autobiography of Walter Jakinski, written by his daughter. He was born and raised in Ilchik. And anyway, just brought that in to like say, hey, we read into our adulthood too. But it was a really fun day. On the land management plan, as Vice Mayor Glendenning mentioned a minute ago, that is Monday. You guys should have got your packet transmitted to you today via email. Please take a look at that. Paul and I were having a discussion about how to conduct that. It's, there's a lot of material there. Once you go into the information that was transmitted, there is a public comment log that you can log your comments in. It would be helpful if folks went through there and, maybe added those comments so we have those as a lay down to sort of get the ball rolling. We'll be going through the committee and commission's reports and recommendations for that draft management plan. But, I want to sort of have this sort of specifically, issues, not or make it, any organic, suggestions at the meeting. Sometimes that does come out collaborative discussion, but, and it may very well necessitate a second work session because there is a lot of material there. No objection to that, but we don't want to drag it into 4 work sessions or 5 work sessions. So, like I said, if we can, they'll probably, once we have the discussion on Monday, they're more than, there's a high likelihood, in my opinion, that there's going to be more consideration that council may want to add another work session. So anyway, just wanted to throw that on everybody's radar, just so they have an idea of how that may go. So, and with that includes my report of the mayor. We'll go to administration reports. City manager, Mr. Ostrander.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. I've got a couple of items here for council that are actually upcoming, and you'll see on the next agenda. The first one is going to be an action approval item at the next council meeting that's asking for approval for a letter of support. So we'll provide the letter of support in the packet, and we'll be asking council to approve that. And it's in support of the GEO bond package that is in Governor Dunleavy's budget. Assuming that the council acts on it favorably, I would anticipate that signatures from all members of council would be the most appropriate for that. That was the request from Bert Cottle, who is former mayor of Wasilla, longtime mayor of Wasilla, and requested on behalf of Dunleavy's office that the council consider a letter of support like that. So you'll see that in your next packet for your consideration. Also want to let you know that I will be providing a memo to the council at your next meeting on the dog park, outlining our approach to development of that facility. Specifically, I want to talk about the role of the city and the role of the dog park committee and how the two can collaborate together to make sure that we complete the project in the most efficient way possible. There's also going to be a resolution for consideration by council supporting continuous lighting along the Kenai Spur Highway. So phase 1 was completed where they expanded it to 4 lanes. Phase 2 will continue that all the way to the edge of the city limits towards Soldotna. DOT is receptive to the idea of a scope change that would add lighting the entire way. Apparently, through Senator Machicki's office, they were able to come up with maintenance funds that would allow them to install this lighting and pay for the additional recurring costs associated with the lighting. So if they can get a resolution of support from the city of Kenai, DOT is willing to change the scope of that project to include continuous lighting that entire way. I also wanted to talk about the streets, which those of us who have been out and about know that the streets right now are in really, really bad shape. There's a lot of upset folks. Our Public Works Department is getting a lot of calls every day. Really the streets and the situation they're in right now is a result of essentially a perfect storm of events starting back in November when we had that really, really cold spell. And when we get that cold like that, it freezes up all of our storm drain systems. So then we had a cold spell through the first part of the winter, and then we got a ton of snow. And as you'll recall at the last council meeting, even though we had a ton of snow through late December, January, into February, our roads were in pristine condition. The sidewalks were blown back, the streets were clear, and everything looked great. But literally the day after our last council meeting, things started going south, and we had this warm weather that created just a huge mess. And despite the best efforts of our street crews, and I will tell you what, they have been working extraordinarily long hours, working in the middle of the night, trying to do everything that they can to keep those roads as passable as possible. It just hasn't been possible to keep up with it. And we have this freeze-thaw cycle that creates these multitude of problems. So I guess I would just summarize it to say that it's a bad cycle of weather that we're stuck in right now. I hope people give us a little bit of grace. Our street crews are working incredibly hard to try to fix it. We're bringing in folks from wastewater and other departments to help out when possible too. They've done an admirable job with conditions that are frankly are not manageable right now. And you're seeing it in the parking lots in town. You're seeing it in other communities and within the boroughs. So But I did want to talk about that and just let you know that our staff recognizes that streets are not in great condition, but we're doing everything we can to try to get them in better shape. And then the last thing I have is the bluff. And for tonight, I have no update. They continue to work on the design. We should be seeing 65% complete drawings here in the next month or so. And that's all I've got, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Vice Mayor Glendenning?
Yeah, could you just repeat that last piece about the bluff for my hearing? Thank you.
Mr. Ostrander?
Yeah, so no real update tonight other than they continue to work on the design. We hope to have 65% complete drawings sometime within the next month.
Thank you.
Any questions? Vice Mayor Glendenning?
Yes, thank you, City Manager Ostrander, for your update on the snowplow. I had returned from Florida after a surgical event and came into this situation, and I was so concerned that I called my own number to complain. so a little bit of humor. And did we have a discussion earlier in the winter that we might revisit our snow plowing plans, our way of doing business? I know I have in my record there was a printout of the current plan for doing it, but it's some years older, and I was just wondering if we're going to maybe update or talk about our plan going forward with snow removal, because we have not replaced one person from our street department.
Mr. Ostrander?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Gabriel, Vice Mayor Glendenning. So there is a newly drafted snow removal policy that's actually on my desk in City Hall there for my review. So it has been worked on over the winter, and it should be finalized here relatively soon.
Thank you. That would be most timely.
Councilmember Winger?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Thank you, City Manager Ostrander, for your report. On the dog park outline that you're going to be bringing forward to us, does that address the land issues and maybe getting survey done? My understanding through conversation is that dog parks cleared land that may now be encroaching on the Triumphant Theater. So I was wondering if we had any plans or intentions on properly surveying that out, especially before we consider any more donations, something that we could get the ball rolling on now.
Mr. Ostrander?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel, Councilmember Winger. Yes, that memo will address that, and that is the first step associated with the project, is to get the survey of that northern boundary and figure out if the clearing is within the boundary of the Dog and Spec Park or if it has encroached on Triumvirate. I'm hopeful that it hasn't encroached, but that's the very first step that we want to accomplish with the project.
Follow up?
Just to follow up on that, so that land was cleared. I was part of the land clearing party. That land was cleared 3 years ago, and so that parameter was set by the dog park then, and then we did a land donation. So how would that work out if it is encroached over? Would we ultimately take that land back that they cleared for the dog park to make sure that aligns for Triumphant, or would we move Triumphant's lines around? Exactly how would that pan out if we do see that it was cleared over that property line? Because they cleared that land well before Triumphant had approached on that land donation.
Mr. Ostrander?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel, Councilmember Winger. So we subdivided the property in preparation of the dog park folks clearing the land. So it was subdivided, and that property line was established. And pursuant to the resolution that was passed by council, that was the area where the dog park was to be located. So if we were to go out this spring and survey that property boundary, and if the clearing, and more importantly, if the fence posts that have been installed were on the north side of that property line, they would have to be relocated to the south. If there's some clearing onto the property that's been dedicated sort of triumvirate. I don't think that's a serious concern. But when we get that survey done, we have to make sure that the fence is located entirely on the property that was designated for the dog park.
Vice Mayor Glendinning?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Thank you for coming forward with this plan of collaboration, cooperation between citizen involvement and city leadership in this project. This, of course, is going to be a project that will ultimately wind up, is the property of the city, and I know we will have a good project and something that will be pleasing to all. And again, thank you for your leadership and bringing the dog park committee into it for discussions. I appreciate your effort on that. Thank you.
Any other questions of the city manager? Thank you, Paul. Seeing none, we'll move to the city attorney, Mr. Bloom.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel, members of council. I don't have anything to report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of our city attorney? Seeing none, just want to thank you for your work on the amicus brief that was submitted. It sounds like they did accept that. Yep. Thank you. No questions of the city attorney. We'll go to the city clerk, Ms. Sainer.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Earlier this year, I had mentioned to the council that I would be bringing forward action on continuing use of Zoom. After being here for a while now, evaluating how it's being used by several departments, I talked to the other department heads, and at this time, the clerk's office has the budget to continue it through the rest of the fiscal year, at which time we will bring it forward to the council to make a decision on as a non-departmental item in the budget for next fiscal year, just because it is being used as a tool by multiple departments and one that comes in real handy in situations like this. And that's all I have to report.
Councilmember Winger.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Thank you, Shelley, and I just want to say I fully support that. I feel like this has been a tool that can really help guide public participation. We've seen on some issues 20, 30 people. Right now, I see at least 3 people up there, so it definitely is handy, and I do support continuing being able to utilize that tool. So thank you for working on that.
Any other questions of the city clerk? Thank you, Ms. Sainer. That brings us to additional public comment. Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to address the council at this time? Anybody online? See none, we'll go to council comments. Start with Mr. Baisden. Councilmember Baisden.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to add tonight.
Thank you. Next we'll go, let's start at this end of the table. We'll go with Councilmember Naxted.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been out of town for a little over 2 weeks, and I think it was a good time not to be here. Though I was watching the weather reports and all of that, and so it's no surprise to me that the city and probably the borough and the state kind of got behind a little bit on the maintenance with all that cold ground and then all the rain that came on top of the snow and snow on top of the rain and vice versa and all of that. So I got to say our roads were in my neighborhood are in pretty good shape. They're icy, but just like everybody else's, but very passable. So anyway, I think the road department has done a very good job under the circumstances, and I'm happy with that. I'm looking forward to the land plan meeting that we're going to have next week. I turned in my comments. You probably saw them. They were like a page, but I did that 5 months and 2 days ago. So anyway, I'll kind of re-review them, but they're by page and all that. So look forward to seeing any other council comments that would be also included, before that meeting if possible. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Winger.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. It has, I think, been a busy last couple weeks for many of us. I, too, was at the Waterfront community meeting, and we had a great turnout. It was nice to see. Really, we broke out into 5 different sections, and I felt like all 5 different sections kind of had about the same theme as in what they would like to see and then what their concerns and stuff were. So it was nice to see a group of probably about 50 people, I would say 40, 50 people that really were on the same page with that. As we heard, I was part of the Love of Reading at Mountain View. There were quite a few of us from the city of Kenai. I would like to say thank you to Mayor Gabriel for attending that and going to the older grade classrooms. I know that was hard for some of us to shift to. But we also had Jeremy Hamilton from the Kenai Fire Department. He's our fire marshal that came and read Dr. Seuss to the kids. And I got to actually watch him in my daughter's classroom, and he's got some hidden talents, let me tell you. Having a big, large family, definitely, you can tell he's really into that story time, and it was just so great to watch him interacting with the kids at just a different level. I regrettably did not get to watch our librarian, James Addox, do any reading, but when he came in that morning, he came in with a suitcase, and he was so excited and ready to go. He said he had puppets in that suitcase, and apparently he has like a full night costume, but he talked himself out of wearing the costume. But it's kind of hard to follow that. And then you had Chelsea from KSRM that read some pirates book, so she had all the R's and everything, and she had like a whole classroom, 2nd grade classroom, practicing their R's. And they definitely had good pirate speech going. And then as well as our school board representative for Kenai, Matt Morris, was there as well. So great turnout from the city of Kenai. I love being part of that and spending time in the school. As well as on top of that, I followed up yesterday as a guest speaker at Soldotna High School. I got to go in and speak to a junior class for about 50 minutes and just giving tips and tricks on what they should be doing education-wise. I talked a lot about the Jump Start program that's offered to our, when I started, it was not a program when I graduated, and that program came out and started as a senior-based program, and now it's been opened up to junior age level kids. And if you're not familiar with the Jump Start program, you're able to get a Jump Start at KPC on your prerequisite credits at a very extremely discounted rate. So ultimately in 2 years, the kids could graduate with a diploma and a degree. I mean, I think it's something when Megan and I were in school, this program really wasn't around. So I think it's a great program, and I really just encourage the kids to take advantage of that. I look forward to the March Mills of Wills event. It's one of my favorite events that gets put on. They do such a great job with it. The food is delicious, and definitely bring your pocketbooks. Those pies or cakes go for a lot of money. They haven't had an event for 2 years, so I'm really hoping that this is a big fundraiser for them. I plan on donating 3 desserts because I feel like we have 2 years that they didn't have an event, and I would like to recognize those 2 years. So I plan on bringing three desserts, and I see that they're looking for silent auction items too, so I'd like to encourage the body and the community to donate to their auction. And this Saturday at Protosos at 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, Mayor Charlie Pierce is running for governor, and he will be announcing his lieutenant governor pick, and I will be there for that event. And I just thank you, everyone.
Vice Mayor Glendenning.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Yeah, I think between Henry and T, I'm going to have to take out a loan so I can afford my pastry purchases. But anyway, it's good to be back. I'm doing my PT, and leg is coming around and doing the best I can. We're gaining about 5 minutes of daylight, and I think everybody's spirits will pick up, and we'll have a positive 2022. I attended also the Waterfront meeting, and I was really pleased that at least the table I was at, you were there also. We had a balance of concerns or emphasis is that the existing fishing legacy industry, is important, should be honored, and can be incorporated into any plan that's there. And there's wonderful ideas for the privately owned properties that are available. And I think we'll have a very positive program going forward. I'm glad to hear again that we're going to have a snow plowing plan going forward, a policy set, and that'll be very, very welcome. And the items that City Manager Ostrander listed as coming attractions for our next meeting, I think, are all needed, welcome, and very, very timely. And I think that giving a little heads up on that will improve the quality of our discussion. And having said that, I'll just pass it on down the line, and I think we're off to a good start this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sonart.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. I too attended the waterfront feasibility workshop that night. I was in the group. I was a fiver along with Miss Nelson out there. It was good to see that room full of people. It was a good night, and there was good comments that I think that the group was able to walk away with. So that was good. Last night I attended the Kenai Middle School Fine Arts concert for the third quarter. I got to hear the choir, the 6th grade music group, the drama class did a 6-minute presentation of, they're doing Moana this year. So they did a 6-minute presentation from their musical, and then finished up with the concert band last night. So it was good, and the auditorium was packed, and it was just good to be in the auditorium, watching a concert, and just feeling like life is getting back to normal. So that's good, and I would like to wish all the families with school-aged children happy spring break. Enjoy the sunshine, and enjoy a week of no morning alarm clocks. Thank you.
Thank you. Student Representative Thibodeau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Personally, I am not doing too well. Could be doing better, but that's just me. At the school, we have not a lot going on. As Ms. Sonart said, we are having spring break. Spring break is starting Friday. We will not have school Friday, so that'll be fun. As for the, sorry, my head is, Job Shadow program, that was it. The feedback that I got from my friends and the friends that I know was really good. We had people go to the police. One of my best friends went to the police force. We had people go to the library. Gosh, my head, I cannot think right now.
One of
Yeah, I
the
went to
one of
the
the cool
Harvey
one
area.
was the Kenai Aviation. They sent
Yeah,
their
I
kids
know a
up,
lot
and
of
they were
people
actually
went to
doing.
that.
They got to do some touch and goes and actually fly the plane. That was kind of.
Yeah, it was.
Did anyone go to the sewer line?
I do not believe so.
That would be my first pick.
A 4-year-old who wants to do that.
All right, yes, picking through trash is, honestly, I do it. Yesterday, yesterday, I am on the, committee, for planning prom. We're gonna have prom, I believe, 7th of next? Yeah, sometime next month. We ordered the, crowns for all of the nobility, I guess you could say, for them. As well as tomorrow we're going to be ordering the sashes. Tomorrow as well we will be having a concert. That's it. Concert. The high school concert band will be playing there. I personally will be playing. I play the trumpet, so I encourage all of you to go. It's going to be amazing. Yes. Nothing else I really have to report. My head is killing me right now, so
Oh.
I don't think if I did write things down, I would be able to remember it. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Councilmember Petty.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The generous donation from Hill Corp and the Friends of the Library for the new bike station will be wonderfully received for the community, and I just want to thank them for their great graciousness in doing that. Also, the Water Riverfront feasibility visionary study was a great success, and many of the public attended, and there were very many great creative ideas, and I'm thankful that I was able to attend that as well. One remembrance and a reminder is there will be tomorrow, the first Thursday, at the Kenai Fine Arts Center with the photography show that's going on and the reception, and that is something that you don't want to miss. It is great. So that ends my comments. Y'all have a good night.
Oh, Vice Mayor Glenday?
Yeah, I was just sorry, one item, tomorrow there's a work session coming up for Parks and Rec regarding the cemetery expansion. And so that is something that we've been working on for quite a while, and I saw that the clerk and the Parks and Rec department did quite a bit of outline and planning, and it looks like to my point of view anyway, a very good plan going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Seeing no other business before this body, we are adjourned. Which was the shortest part of the meeting. Yeah, that was like, I think those items, that our business, actual legislative business items, probably took less than 10 minutes.
30, 35 or something.
No one commented on them. Well,
Goodbye.
okay.